All right, so let's begin with this call and response. Om Sahana Vavatu. Om
Sahana Vavatu.
Sahano Bhunaktu.
Sahana
Bhunaktu. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. Tejasvina Vaditamastu.
Tejasvina Vaditamastu.
Ma Vidvashavahai.
Ma Vidvashavahai.
Everyone, Om
Shanti Shanti
Shanti Shanti.
And let's say this together, this English together. Om, may we be protected. Om, may we be honorable. May we pursue our studies with vigor, and may they illuminate us. May there only be wisdom, learning, laughter, and compassion among us today. Peace, peace, peace. Okay, so I'm assuming everybody heard the recording for the first class. Just let me know if everybody has. Yeah. Okay. And let's begin with the homework, because in that first lesson, at the end, I asked everyone to get the cards of their family and friends, all the players on their stage of life, and see if they could find some commonalities, because I really do believe there's a genetic influence, like there's a matrix that runs through families of similarities, similar frequencies. And it's really amazing to see this. Once you start doing all the math, it's just, for me, I was blown away by all of my whole family shared the commonality of 4. The number 4, there were 4 hearts, 4 diamonds, mostly 4 of hearts. So I'd like to just ask if everybody had a chance to do this. Did anyone? Yeah, Veronique and Molly did. And Missy, did you get all of your family members? Yeah. Okay. And Renee, did you have a chance?
No, in the recording I received, it cut off at an hour, and I didn't get that instruction. So
no, an hour cut off.
Yeah.
Well, that means everybody else may have got a cut off too. Did you hear it all the way through, Mike?
I think, was it an hour video?
It was 2 hours. YouTube might have cut it. I'm not an expert at YouTube, so anyways, that's a bummer. Maybe it was just your thing, Renee. Maybe it just stopped on your computer, or do you know if it was?
It stopped right at 1 hour and 0 minutes and 0 seconds for some reason. I don't know if that.
Yeah. Maybe it was YouTube. It sounds like it's too much of a coincidence. Okay, well, the homework was to get your mother, father, and sisters, your family, and find their cards, and then find their solar values. And in that process, we can understand the relationship and why you were familying together in this lifetime. And you can see the frequencies and how similar they, even identical in some cases. My mother and my father, I mean, I don't want to get into all my stuff, but it's just pretty amazing that we chose each other, and it's no coincidence. So I like it when math and reality meet. So let me move to the very last slide that we ended with last week, or was it the week before? Yeah, so this was the last slide. We were talking about the suits and what they meant, all the meanings. So now here we are. We're going to keep going on to the next slide. But before I do, did anybody find anything really exciting? Missy, did you, or Molly, with your family? I'd like to just open up this platform now to just share that if you feel like it.
I found where I'm a 6 of hearts, and then one of my sons was a 7 of hearts, and the other one was 8 of hearts.
Wow. Oh my God, a royal flush.
Very cool.
That's so amazing. Yeah, so so there's Moon and Venus connections between all of you. So this, the 6 of Hearts, 7 of Hearts sit side by side. And when you have a connection like that side by side, because in the procession, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's a side by side. And this is Sun Moon connection and side by side. So the Sun Moon connections are the ones that are so compatible, and you feel like you just slipped into a pair of old jeans that you've always worn when you meet someone who's your sun or your moon or who sits side by side with you. So that's a very familiar feeling when you meet them. But you were born into the family, so it was just really easy to be together. But there can be some pinch potentially if there's a gender reversal where the sun should be the natural lead or the parent, or the male gender if it's a relationship, a marriage, for example. And not in all cases, I'm saying just as an overview, because some women really prefer to wear the pants and be the male in the relationship, and some men like to be Mr. Mom. So everyone's unique. We can't say that it's not good for everybody, but in general, if you're working with traditional values, the man should be the sun and the woman should be the moon. But definitely in parent-child situation, it's very difficult for a parent-child relationship if the parent is the moon and the child is the sun. The parent will feel frustrated. They will feel like their child doesn't listen and is incorrigible, and they aren't allowed to be a parent. Basically, the child will run the show on some level, and that can cause tension, obviously. Okay, so 6, 7, 8. So then so when you have an every other connection instead of a side by side, that's a Venus connection, because 2 away from your natal card is Venus. So you have 6, 7, 8. Anything else in your family?
I think that was the only common. My dad was a Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that was the only thing. My sister is a Queen of Spades, and I kind of read about it. My sister is chaos. Like it just did not match her at all.
Well, did you look at her ruling card? And there are several layers too. Yeah, did you see her ruling?
I didn't.
Yeah, because we have innate, well, I'm going to go over all the layers in a minute. If one of the layers doesn't fit necessarily, it may not be the one that's expressing the most. For me, I'm a 4 of Hearts natal card, but I'm a double 6 of Clubs, decadent and ruling. So my 6 of Clubs will supersede my 4 of Hearts. I'll express more. People will see me more through my 6 of Clubs. So your sister may have a double ruling decadent as well. It's pretty common to have a double ruling decadent. She might be expressing more in that layer than in the Queen. So we'll go into that now. Let's go to finding the layers. So I love Alex Gray, and this art really says it all. Mm-hmm. We all we're multidimensional creatures. We aren't just one natal card or just a Sagittarius or just a whatever, right? We have so many koshas and layers around us that we can choose to express through at any given moment. And I want to tell you about these layers because knowing these layers is very important when you're reading for other people to see which layers are showing up. You can learn a lot about relationships, if someone's going to be coming back to someone, or if there's going to be a divorce, or these layers say so much about the person and how they're showing up. Mm-hmm. So the natal card is basically your sun card. We all know that. If you have Robert Lee Camp's book, you can just go to the back of the book and see your sun card. I don't know, Mike, have you done it? I know you're a 6 of Hearts, 10 of Diamonds. Did you know, Mike, that your natal card is 6 of Hearts? You're muted, so I can't hear you. Hold on a minute. Unmute.
I'm unmuted. I didn't know. We've gone over this briefly.
Yeah.
And the memory of it is lean.
Well, I remember specifically 6 of Hearts is your natal, 10 of diamonds is your ruling card. I never did the other layers of you, but those are pretty good layers to start with. So I didn't know if you had the book or not. So now you know your 6 of hearts is your natal, and I believe Renee is, do you mind if I share? Does anyone not want their card to be shared? Yeah?
I'm okay with it.
Okay. All right. Missy, I forgot what you are.
6 of hearts.
6 of hearts. So you and Mike both 6 of hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And Renee, do you mind? I think I might have even shared before what your card was, but nobody was listening because we didn't record it. It was just you and me and Molly, I think. Anyways, are you private about that?
No, go for
Okay.
it.
So she's the Ace of Clubs, and I'm going to give solar values because the 6 of hearts is a 6 solar value. It's pretty simple. All the hearts pretty much have a face value, solar value. So Mike is a 6 solar value. Missy is a 6 solar value. Renee is a 14 solar value, and Ace of Clubs. And Veronique, how do you say your name again?
Veronique or Veronica. I go by both. Doesn't matter. Veronique is fine. I think I'm the 2 of diamonds, aren't I?
I forget.
Well, I'm King of Hearts with 2 of diamonds ruling, right?
Okay, then you're the King of Hearts with a solar value of 13.
13.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so remember your solar value, because sometimes I do this to go to sleep. I will lay in bed and I'll think about people I met and do my composite in my head. It's almost like counting sheep to find my composite and figure out why we met. And that's a thing I do sometimes if I, can't fall asleep. So it's a fun thing to do. It keeps me, interested, but not so interested that I can't fall asleep. So there you go. Knowing your solar value has changed my life. I choose even doctors according to what my solar value adds up with their solar value, or even lawyers, or any significant relationship that you're going to be invested in, money-wise or emotionally wise. You really need to know the solar value of the other person to understand why you've met. You don't want to go forward in a relationship that might end up as a solar value of your own karma card. Then you know for sure you're stepping right into a bunch of karma. That may not be good. Okay, so let's talk about that. We got everyone's solar values, I think. Molly, what was your solar? 10 of diamonds?
10 of hearts.
10 of hearts? Okay, so you're 10.
Karen,
Okay. Yes.
how do you find your solar value?
Oh, we looked at that in the first class, so let me back it up here.
Okay, it's in the chart. Okay.
Yep, it's right here. I'll show you that just because we are on that topic. So here are the solar values. They're 52.
Okay.
You see all the hearts get their face value all the way to the king, 13. And then Ace of Clubs gets a 14. It goes all the way down. And then King of Spades is 52. So you can basically figure this out without a chart if you just did a lot of counting like that, or write it out like that with all the numbers. I did that in the very beginning before I even found this chart. And I used to just have to write it out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So let's go to, where did we leave off? The spades and the layers. Okay, so the natal card. That's your primary solar value. And then the ruling card, that's another solar value. So if you know your ruling card and you know your natal card, you can actually add those 2 cards up to get yet another layer of who you are. And I have found it so accurate, the fullness card. And yeah, I don't understand why other people don't realize I'm the only one that does fullness cards. So anyways, I'm sold on it after doing this for 18 years. And I found the fullness card tell us a lot about parallel lifetimes and past lifetimes, even though really there is no such thing as past or present. Everything's happening at once. But parallel meaning could be happening in the same time space continuum. And maybe past life. Anyways, I don't want to get into the whole time thing. I forgot to shut my phone off. Hold on. Okay. So basically, if you can add up, say, Mike, you have your 6, and then your 10 of diamonds is a 36, and you add 6 plus 36, what does that come to? Everybody can do this.
42.
42, which comes to 3 of spade, which is the card of the artist. So can everyone figure out the solar value of their ruling card? I'll go back to that chart just in case, and it's really interesting to find your fullness card. So you see how I did that with Mike, his 6, and then his 10 of diamonds is a 36. We added that up to a 42, and his fullness layer, his fullness card would be 3 of spade. Now we can do another example. I'm going to take Renee. 14 plus 5 of clubs is 18. So can 14 plus 18, I don't have my calculator.
32.
Thank you, Mike. You're on it. 32 is a 6 of diamonds. So that would be your fullness layer, Renee. Yes, and basically I found that fullness layers tell me what perhaps the occupation was from a past life, or what was a significant theme in a past life, in your life. It maybe if occupation wasn't your theme, if that work didn't matter, maybe you were a housewife and a mother, then we can learn a lot about what you experienced in that lifetime doing that specific thing. So I'm fullness card 10 of clubs, and that's the teacher. I know I was a teacher in a last lifetime, so I'm bringing that teaching skill into this lifetime. So let's do one more person just to get clear on how to get a fullness layer. Molly, you're a 10 of hearts. What was your ruling?
I have a 2 because I'm a Scorpio.
You have 2? Okay, well, we're just going to do your Mars, because Scorpio gets Pluto and Mars, but even though I give a lot of value to Pluto, I'm just going to stick with Mars for the Scorpio people. So what do you have for Mars?
I don't know if it's the first one is the Ace of Hearts.
Oh, that's right. Okay, you wouldn't know that. Let me look. So Ace of Hearts is a solar value of 1. And what's your
the second one is 3 of spades, so it's either my fullness card is either a Jack of Hearts or a King of Spades.
Okay. So let me pull your Ace of.
My birthday is October 25th.
Okay. Oh, this is the wrong book. Anyways, we'll just do one. Just for example.
Yeah.
So you have your 10 of hearts, and what was the first one?
Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts. Okay, so that makes you a Jack of Hearts.
Yeah.
A layer of Jack of Hearts. Okay. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. It's not that difficult. Does anyone have questions about that? No. Okay, good. So then let's just one more bit, staying with solar values and composites. Now that we know natal, ruling, and fullness, that's how I started, and I did that for almost 8 years without knowing decadent or any of the other layers, really. So just those 3, you can really make some really good decisions and have some good information about who you're with and why. So you can learn about your relationship with your mother by getting your mother's natal card and your natal card and adding that together. And then you always subtract 52. And I have a screen that shows the exact math on how to do the addition. So now that we did our addition of our own selves, let's move into that composite scores of other people. Here's how you do it. And I'm going to flip back to the other screen to finish the other layers of the personality. But I want to jump over here just so you can see that. I think it's pretty simple, but you can see, for example, Ace of Diamonds girl. I just gave an example here, a hypothetical, and an 8 of Hearts guy. 27 plus 8 equals 35. They make a 9 of Diamonds composite. So what happens when 2 people come together and make, for example, 9 of Diamonds? Well, we learn a lot about the 9 of Diamonds by just reading Robert Camp's book on what does 9 of Diamonds do? How does it express? What are the lessons? What are the characteristics? So basically, by also staring at the chart, the natal chart of the 9 of Diamonds, you can learn about the different cards within the natal chart of 9 of diamonds. So together, Miss Ace of Diamonds and Mr. 8 of Hearts create a 9 of Diamonds. To understand why they've come together, for example, we analyze the meaning, and that meaning has endings involved with it and values, money, but it also is quite philanthropic. So these two people who've come together will be very generous with one another, and as well as anyone that comes into contact with them will also experience a philanthropic situation. They could even do really well opening a 501c or a charitable nonprofit organization as a team, because people will want to donate to them, and they sort of open the portal for charitable expressions. So also 9 of Diamonds, you know, this is about letting go of potentially a job or an income stream. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that a person may show up in your life who you make a 9 of Diamonds with right at the time you're looking to transition out of a job. And that person steps up vibrationally to help you. And that might be the entire reason why that person has come into your life. Or it may be that it stays and it's, you never know, season and reason or how long it will go. But quite frankly, a 9 composite between a romantic couple doesn't have a lot of tenacity because it's about endings. So that if the couple makes the 9 of Diamonds on their first composite layer, there's a challenge there, because we know 1 and 2 marriages end in divorce, but to have a solar value that already has this impending ending flavor isn't going to give a lot of legs to the relationship. So we need to look at their ruling card composites to see if that might mitigate the negativity that a 9 might bring into a relationship. So we look at their composite between the ruling, and I'm just going to tell you who these people are. I don't think they'll mind. This is my daughter, and she just met this wonderful man. And my daughter's the Ace of Diamonds. He's the 8 of Hearts. He's 35. She's 31. He's been working in this, what's it called? Electric boat. And he wants so badly to leave this job. And he's doing everything he can to transition out of it. And he's on a leave right now because of an injury from being at the job. And he's on a crossroads for a new career. And Jada came into his life just when this was happening, which is so apropos for the 9 of Diamonds, right? Now, I was worried because I don't want either of them to get a heartbreak, because the 9 scared me, thinking, well, you know, don't fall in too deep. This may not have a lot of legs. But then I didn't say anything because I don't want to rain on her parade, because I was clever enough to look at their ruling card composites, and their ruling card composites mitigate the 9. And the ruling cards came to what I call the proverbial soulmate card, the Ace of 2 of Hearts, which is the twin to the Ace of Clubs. So they make a 2 of Hearts, 2 hearts beating as 1, as their ruling connection, which will sustain this relationship. So that it could be something with legs, longevity. So that is why it's really important to understand these connections, and it's just profound and prophetic. So let's look at going back up to the other layers. I should tell you a story about one other couple that came in. I have this one client that comes, she drives an hour. We do like once a month. And the first year she came once a month, and she came for Lyme's disease for Ayurveda health consultation. And I knew the universe was sending her for something else. I helped her the best I could, but in the end, at the end of the session, she said, oh, my husband, and I'm so in love, and he's the love of my life for 20 years. But as she was telling me this, I felt something different. I felt she was trying to tell me that she needed help with her husband, because I didn't understand why she was just blurting this out. So usually when somebody blurts something like that out, we know that it might be a red flag. So I listened, and I opened my ears, waiting for it to go in the direction I was feeling. And finally, tears started coming out. But I'm not sure he's faithful. And then I knew okay, we're going down another rabbit hole. And I said, let's make an appointment for a card reading and a Jyotish session. So she did. She came back the next time, and I did their composite, and they made a 3 of hearts. And the 3 of hearts composite, natal composite, is a love triangle where there will always be room for a third party. Within the 2 of them, it's no longer 2 hearts beating as one, it's 3 hearts beating as one. And I've seen it time and time again. I can't even tell you how many examples. Oh, I could just tell you so many stories of how strange it's all worked out. But I've seen these marriages where there's someone else living in the house with them. And it's just, like three's company. And in this case with my client, it was her husband who was a sociopath, and he just continued to cheat on her over and over. And she was in denial, but there was a part of her that somehow knew, but she couldn't articulate it, and she wasn't ready to see it. And so I helped her for that year go through the layers of all the lies. The second composite they made at the ruling layer was Jack of Spade, which is a 50, number 50 solar value. And that Jack of Spade is the proverbial white collar thief. The guy that's so smart, he never gets caught. He's not the classic hoodlum where you could just peg him and say, he did it. They're the royal family or the exalted planets or the brilliant ones that, politicians, the sociopaths that have genius IQs and you'd never suspect. And he was one of those. So he met this woman, Lori, obviously, to play out this drama for him to have other women. And the Jack of Spades enabled this situation even more, so that cheating became part of their MO in this marriage. So I can't imagine 2 worse cards to have together. And obviously she had a lot of karma from a past life with this man, and it was very painful for her to divorce him, but I helped her all the way through. And now she's amazing. She's standing in her own power. She's forgiven him. She's a healer, and she's just transformed her life. But she had to go through that for some reason. But all I needed to know was their composite, and I never said anything. I just knew what was going to be told to me, because I knew ahead that this man was cheating by just doing the math. Okay, so let's move on to the next layer. We have the karma cards. And the karma cards, you can see them either in Robert Camp's book. It will say, if you look at your natal cards, it'll tell you your own karma cards at the bottom of that page. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way by looking at the life spread and the spirit spread, which are behind me. And they're also, I don't know if you see, yeah, you can't see the details, but let me go back over here, for example, to find your karma card. I will look at, do I have the life spread here? Oh, I never put it in here because I thought it would just be right behind me maybe. Oh no, I did put it here. Okay, good. So to find karma cards, you always go to the earth spread, not the spirit spread. And these are spreads that are static. They basically are the templates of the system. They're the matrix of the system. And this is the life spread, so sort of the Kali Yuga spread. And it's, where all the Maya happens, all the illusion. And the other spread, the spirit spread, is the more coherent, cohesive spread where we're all from spirit and everything is just in order. So here we are finding our karma cards. For example, let me take somebody like, I'll take Mike, for example, Mike's 6 of hearts. See the 6 of hearts? This house has the 4 of clubs as the landlord. So we're going to talk about landlords and renters down the road, but just to find your karma card, you can do it this way and know that 4 of clubs is one of Mike's layers from a past life as well. So let's get one more, for example. let's get Molly's 10 of hearts. Where's the 10 of hearts? Here it is. So Molly, Jack of clubs is one of your karma cards. And let's get Renee, for example, a 2 of hearts. Well, Renee belongs to the special family of 7, which I will talk about later. But the special family of 7 cards, they don't share their houses or rent their houses very often or at all. But Renee, for example, will share her house or rent her house to the 2 of hearts. So the 2 of hearts and the ace of clubs are twin cards, and they flip-flop back and forth between each other. And you'll see, if you look at, for example, Renee's charts, you'll see one year the 2 of hearts will be in her spread, and the next year the ace of clubs will be alternating in her spread every other year. So we look at, for example, who had the king of hearts? Veronica. Here, the 2 of clubs is your karma card. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that? Pretty simple. So what happens when you meet a karma card? That's a good question. So the jury's out, and I will give you my opinion. There's no malefic or benefic karma card in my opinion, but in Camp's opinion, he says one of them is the one that will be benefic in your life, and one will be malefic. In other words, one you owe karma to, unresolved karma from a past life, and the other owes you. So based on that theory, 4 of spades, you see down here, 4 of spades is my karma card. I'm the 4 of hearts. And when I started learning this system, I was living in Fairfield, Iowa, and it was like the 3rd or 4th year of me learning it, and I met a 4 of spades. And I was like, oh no, he's gonna take my energy. And I owe him something, and I got very nervous. And I did feel close when I met him. And it was not romantic. We became such good friends, just immediate friends. And I've known him in a past life for sure. And he was a Jyotishi, and just with so much in common. And he gave to me and helped me with my website, came over when, something went bump in the night to make sure I was okay. He was a fire engine on call for me. And here I was when I met him, like, oh, he's going to be an energy vampire. And so it's not just that he was my only experience to give rise to my feeling on this. I've met so many other 4 of spades who've been very, very generous with me and who I've liked very much. And there have been some 4 of spades as well that have not been so generous to me. There's one in particular I can think of that just for some reason we just have this, angst when we see each other, and we're both good people. She lives here in Newport. We're both a lot alike, and we want to like each other, but we just can't seem to like each other. It's just a pinch. We can't, friction, and there's no articulating why. And then there's another 4 of spades that actually bought my business. She just was my best student in Sacred Stone, 2007. She paid me, and I sold her my school, 4 of spades. So we can't know if one is malefic or one is benefic. And I'll show you how to find your other karma card, the one that is supposed to be the benefic. Just know that when you meet one, that you'll feel close, you'll feel like you've known them, and it's a surprise. Will they actually give to you, or will they take from you? I can't tell you one way or the other. It's for you to find out. But I can say you could, have your eyes wide open just in case, right? But not to be sending fear, to have an open heart and open mind, but to have eyes wide open. Okay, so how to find your other karma card, the one that Robert Camp says will give to you. I have a great story of meeting my karma card who gave to me. Is it right here? Yeah. Okay, so looking at, this is Heaven's spread. And let's say, here's Renee. So Renee has her 2 of hearts. She's always going to have that. 2 of hearts, benefic or malefic. And she can also express through the other set of twins, which is the 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts. They are right here. So that's the other twin set of special family. I found that the 9 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, ace of clubs, 2 of hearts can actually be all one. Like I'm reading, if I read from a 9 of clubs person, 9 of hearts person, and I'm looking at their husband's chart, she might be showing up as the 2 of hearts. Does that make sense? In his chart. So she can express through 4 different cards, which makes it complicated for the reader, but it's possible. Okay, now we look at, let's go to Veronique. This is the 9 of spades, the king of hearts. The one that gives to you, the benefic karma card, allegedly, is your 9 of spades. So you can find in here, if you can see the screen, I don't know if this is too small. Did everyone find theirs? Oh, am I in the wrong? Grand solar spread. Spiritual spread, no. Oh, wait a minute. Is this right? Oh yeah, no, this is right. This is the right spread. Okay, did everybody find their other karma card? Yeah, okay, good. So let's move on. When I met my karma card, Queen of Clubs, oh, no, 10 of spade. Because in my ruling card, we also have ruling card karma cards. So this woman, I was teaching sacred stone therapy at this massage school in Iowa, and I had 25 students in my class, and I couldn't get to know all of them, but this one student really liked me. And I never got to know her specifically, but she knocked at my door on a Sunday night about 7 o'clock, and she had a gift. And it was this box of beautiful gemstones that were Maharishi's gem light therapy of real diamonds, topaz, ruby, a real pearl with these little lights. They're like these little pens, and you click this button and the light would shine through, and you could shine these gemstones on chakras. And it was a whole chakra gemstone light kit that she had healed her son with. And she said it had been sitting in her closet for 10 years and her son was healed from it. And she didn't know who else to give it to and didn't want it to sit in the closet. And she wanted to give it to me. So I didn't know what to do. I had no words. I had tears in my eyes. It was the most beautiful gift I'd ever received. And she didn't even want to come in. She just said, here, and she left. And so I stood in the lobby of my house, the foyer, and I just looked at this and I couldn't understand how did I get so lucky. And then I looked at the cards and I got her birthday and I realized who she was to me. So that's just one example. I could go on with other examples, but that's just an example of what happens when you meet a karma card. The one that's supposed to be the malefic or the benefic. I haven't met too many that gave me such beautiful gifts that were my 4 of spades though. So, the more malefic, I can't say that entirely though. So I still go back and forth. I can't say that there's one or the other, but that was probably the highlight of a karma card experience for me. And if you have experiences like that you can think of in your life, it's fun to go back and find their birthdays of who these people were that gifted you. Find out. That could be your homework assignment. Okay, so let's look at where we left off. We were at the layers. The layers were here. Okay, so karma cards. Personality cards are very interesting and extremely telling of where someone is at in their consciousness. So personality cards are the king, queen, or jack of your suit. So I'm a 4 of hearts, so my suit is the heart suit. So when I'm stepping into my personality card, I would express through the Queen of Hearts. And since I'm a female, I'm probably not going to be acting like a Jack of Hearts. But men can act like the king or the jack of their suit. And I've noticed that it's very important to know where to read your client to get accurate results, because you could be reading at the wrong layer. It's like looking at somebody without the right glasses or any glasses at all. You're just not reading their frequency at all. You're in the wrong spot. So to determine the consciousness of your client, first is critical as a reader. And then, and who are you to determine a consciousness? But I'll give you some things that would be, red flags immediately. So it's then once you find out that this person, this client is expressing through their personality card more than their natal card, then you need to start reading at that layer. And I'll show you how to read at the personality layer later. But I have my 2 of Diamonds client to thank for this discovery. I was 75 to 80% accurate with her, maybe 75, because she was an alcoholic. So it wasn't the kind of alcoholism that was a showstopper. She was a functioning alcoholic. So she would come in hungover some days, and then some days not at all. Just come back from a spin class. She's on her game. She hadn't had a drink in a week. And I could read her from her 2 of Diamonds natal card easily. And I even would rectify and go backwards and ask her what was her day like yesterday or last week to make sure I was in the right layer for her. On the times that I didn't give accurate readings, I realized why. It was because I was reading her 2 of Diamonds when on those days that I gave those predictions, she was drunk or hungover, and that shifts the consciousness. They go into their personality clothes. So I started getting this with her, and I would have to notice when she walked through the door, open my third eye wide open and be like, okay, even smell, is there any alcohol? Is she stammering? Her hands would shake sometimes. And she might, say something that just would give it away. Oh, I was at the bar last night, da, 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 da. And then I'd be, oh, cha-ching. Okay, red flag. I'm reading her at her personality card today. And when I attempted to tell her this, she took great offense. And we had a confrontation. And I tried to tell it to her in the most loving way, but she couldn't hear it. All she heard was that I was calling her an alcoholic, when in fact I wasn't even judging her alcoholism. I was trying to explain that she was expressing through her queen self today, because she would ask me, why are we looking at my queen? And I had to tell her, and it was very difficult to find the words. So be careful when you tell an alcoholic or one of your clients that is coming from the personality card. Tell them, you might find different words. I'm still working with that, how to say it to someone who's already sort of defensive anyways. Okay, so I started getting 85 to 90% accuracy with my 2 of Diamonds girl, because I was able to alternate between the personality layer and the 2 of Diamonds layer with her. And she became so good. She was coming almost weekly. She actually bought the system, and she's doing her own cards now, and she hardly comes over. So she's doing these. I keep telling her, you should do this for a living. You're so good at it. And she doesn't need to. She inherited a boatload of money. She doesn't need to work, but she's really, really good at the cards from coming to my house almost weekly for more than 4 years. Okay, so now we have another card that is going to be a life changer. To know this information is so amazing. We actually get to evolve. And this is why I love this system. I'm a free bird, and I believe we are unlimited, multidimensional creatures, and nothing can contain us, or we're too powerful to be just one layer. We're just a 4 of hearts. No, we get to actually evolve to the next octave, and octave means 8. So to actually evolve, meaning transcend your card, means you've made lemonade out of your lemons. And that usually happens around age 52. And it's almost like the Navamsha chart for Jyotishi. So that we sort of express through Navamsha at a certain age where we are no longer victims or whiners. We can step into our power, and we've made lemonade. So there's another octave as well. We can it's unlimited. So my first octave is the 8 of Diamonds. So I started to express from the 8 of Diamonds, and I found that around age 52, that's what happened to me. And you can't ever dub yourself in as evolved. You can't say one morning you wake up, you're 52, I've evolved, I am now my higher octave. No, You can't. The only way that you can really know is by looking at someone else, their chart, and how they see you, how you show up in their cards. Then you can know that you have actually expressed through your higher octave, your evolved self. So I'll give you a story about that, and then we'll count each of us to find our Pluto card, to find our evolved card, or we call the higher octave self. And okay, so we'll do that in a minute, and it's really fun to find out, because that's where you're going, or that's where you may already be. I believe, Mike, you're already there, or maybe you've even gone to your second octave, Mike, because Mike, I just know Mike so well. So I remember I was dating a guy. This is a story about a Pluto card, and I was really into the system, and I knew I was a 4 of Hearts, and I knew all my layers, my personality, my karma, and I was tracking this guy I was dating, Captain Mark. And I know Mike knows Captain Mark. So he was, not always honest. He was a cheater, just to be straight up. And he kept saying he wasn't cheating anymore, but I kept thinking he was. And not to get into the details of it all, but once someone cheats on you, always wonder, right? So the trust was broken, and I used these cards to sort of track my intuitive feelings. Was he cheating on me? And then I could open the cards and I could see, and it would affirm my feelings. And then one day, it was a spring, I said to him, look at this in the fall, you're breaking up with an 8 of Diamonds woman. Because there was a 9 of Hearts with an 8 of Diamonds in Uranus, and for 52 days. And I said, okay, so that means you must be with her now, because you're going to be really brokenhearted. That's a divorce card, 9 of Hearts. You're going to fall on your face when she leaves you. And who is she? And he just looked at me like I had 6 heads. I don't know who this 8 of Diamonds, I don't know anything you're talking about. And I was baffled, and I couldn't figure it out. Jury was out for all summer. The fall comes, and guess who breaks up with Captain Mark? Me. I realized at that point I was the 8 of Diamonds, and he was destroyed emotionally, fell apart, and I couldn't have known that I was going to break up with him. And then I started realizing maybe it was that I evolved. So my Pluto card is 8 away from 4 of Hearts. So that's when I started seeing other clients showing up, and when they were coming to see me, I look at their daily card, and there I was, 8 of Diamonds. And other friends would show up, we'd have tea, sushi, and there I was in their cards, 8 of Diamonds. And this all happened around age 52. So now let's look at everyone's Pluto card. Let's find out where you're going. I think there's a question, and Missy, would you check the chat room? And it's hard for me to do the chat and teach. Hold on. We're looking at here, this is the life spread, or they call the mundane spread. So we always count 8 away to go to your higher octave self. And let's just use, for example, this is jumping out at me, Renee. Renee is here, Ace of Clubs. Her higher octave would be, we always go from right to left. The procession goes from right to left, almost like you're reading Hebrew. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you get to the spot, you have to go over here, 6, 7, 8. So her higher octave would be 5 of spades. She'd be aspiring to be a 5 of spade, and will step into that, or if she hasn't already. So let's just do that again. We have this Ace of Clubs, and it's not inclusive when you count. We don't include the house, which is different than Jyotish. You do include it. It is included when you're doing aspects. This is not inclusive. So we start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is the Pluto card for Renee, or anyone that's an 8 of clubs. So then the next higher octave for her to evolve would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 of clubs. Okay, now let's take the King of Hearts, Veronique. your Pluto card would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4 of spade. That's my karma card. So does anyone have any questions about how to find the evolved higher octave self? No, everyone's with me? Good. Okay. So then you also use this card to determine composites. And I'll tell you another story. I had a good friend, 4 of clubs. He's a doctor. He was the anatomy physiology teacher at the Newport Massage School, the school I owned. And he was dating all these women. And finally, this one, he'd ask me, what do you think of her? What do you think of her? And I would immediately do the composite and give him my first layer of what I thought of her and the relationship. Because there's many more layers. You don't just do the composite and leave it at that. But that was the first thing I would do quickly. He met this one girl, and I gave a wrong prediction because they came to, I forgot what that was, but not good, like an odd number card or a 9 or something that wouldn't be something with legs or would have longevity. And there he was, still dating Cheryl, the one that I said, I don't know about this Regis. His name was Regis. 6 months later, still dating Cheryl. Now, Regis was 62, and I forgot that he had Plutoed, that he had evolved. Now, he's telling me he and Cheryl are moving in, and they're moving in together. But all along, there's not a lot of juiciness going on. It's not like, oh, I'm so in love with her. It's more like very practical. Very, okay, we work well together on paper, and we're going to share a residence together, and that kind of proper way of proceeding. And Regis is a very proper kind of man anyway. So with all this, it was feeling very much like Saturn, very much like structure. And I decided to check his Pluto card and Cheryl's Pluto card, and lo and behold, they made the 4 of spade, which is the proverbial card of home. The actual template of a home, 4 walls. Not the home that we love, because that's 4 of hearts, but a template, sort of real estate of a home. And that's exactly how he was talking about moving in with her. So Regis and Cheryl had a natal composite, but since they were both in their 60s, they had met, and they wouldn't have worked out if they had met in their 30s or 40s or whatever, or 20s. They had to wait till they were in their 60s for them to actually have a relationship that would stick. And this is the type of relationship they had. The 4 of spades type of relationship was very methodical and practical, and they got along, and it wasn't, all hearts and flowers and fireworks, but it was what it was. And they're still together now, 5 years later. Okay, and a 4 is a very good composite to make with anyone. It really is. It's one of the best cards to make in a relationship. Okay, that's the story of the Pluto card. Sometimes stories help concepts stick. I remember studying with Dr. Lab, and he'd give all these concepts, and then he would stop and tell a story. And whatever the concept was that he was teaching about went deeper into my mind because I got to associate it with the story. So I hope my stories are helping you. Okay, so let's move to the next. Okay, that was it. So the Pluto card. Now there is one other card, but this card isn't necessarily your layer. It's a layer that is around you when you're with another person. And it's called the chameleon layer. And you won't find the chameleon card in any book. It's what I've determined and what I've discovered. As well as you won't find the fullness. And I will teach about the decadent card, and I'm purposely avoiding that because it's a little more complicated. And it is very powerful, though. I don't want to dismiss it, but I don't want to lose you as well, because it is complicated to find it. You have to do some math and know a little bit about astrology. So we'll put that on the back burner for now, but I promise to teach it to you. So the chameleon card is really interesting as well. So to learn about the chameleon card, you would take your composite score. We'll say Regis and Cheryl made the 4 of spade. That's their composite score, right? Even though it was their Pluto composite score, it's still a composite score. Then you would take Regis's 4 of clubs solar value and add that to the composite. So we'll do this together. The composite score of, where are the solar values? Here they are. Okay, so Regis was a 4 of clubs, and his solar value was 17. Oh, I can't remember what Cheryl was. So I can't do that. I'll do my daughter and her new boyfriend. So we'll do their composite score of 9 of diamonds. Remember the 9 of diamonds they made? And then she is the ace of diamonds, 27. So we take 35 plus 27. I have to do this in my head. I haven't done
62.
Oh, thank you, 62. Then we always subtract 52 to get the score. So that's going to be, so
10.
10. So, oh, thank you. So of course that's 10. So 10 of hearts. So what happens is this man, who's the 8 of hearts man, I forgot his name. I can't believe that, but whatever. He makes her a 10 of clubs. So they're only when they're together or when she's thinking of him, she can step in to the 10 of hearts, the experience of the 10 of hearts. She can manifest the experience of the 10 of hearts in her life and even act as such. So and this is very interesting because, you know, when you meet certain people, you kind of like who you are when you're with them and you don't know why, and then you leave them and you think, oh my gosh, I really liked what I said. I like how I acted. That person made me feel really interesting and good. I like being in that person's presence. Well, it's that person, that the chameleon card, that helps you like who you were because they helped you become someone different. Now, you could say the same thing about a different person. I don't like who I was. I was stuttering. I was insecure. I felt awkward. I don't know why, because I just came out of a meeting and I was a rock star in the meeting and I was feeling good about myself. And then I went and I had a cup of tea with this person and I just all of a sudden fell into a rabbit hole and didn't like how I felt. And we have no explanation. We just don't get it. Well, this explains everything. This completely, to me, demystifies that mystery. It decodes it. So when you're with someone, they can make you something and you want to know what that something is, because if you're going to be with that person for life, I hope it's something good. You don't want to make like the card of financial worry, because then forever you may end up worrying about money. Or you don't want to make a Saturn type of card like the 6 of spade, which is one of the cards that signify ill health. Then you may actually not live a long time if you marry that person. You see what I'm saying? So what does he make her? So we take the composite again, we start with the 9 of diamonds, and we take his solar value, which is the 8 of hearts, and we add 8 of hearts to the 9 of diamonds, which is 35. So 35 plus 8, Mike?
43.
43. So she makes him a 4 of spade. So these are good. They make good cards for each other. So she will help him find a home. And that's exactly what she's doing. Isn't that funny? She's working on real estate right now and telling him he has to renovate his kitchen. She's totally dictating how he's going to renovate his house, sell his house, and they're going to move into a new home. Isn't that amazing? I haven't done this yet with the two of them. So it is all so accurate and it just blows my mind. So let's move on. Does everyone understand that concept? I don't want to lose you because all these adding, you know, who does who, what, who makes what. I hope I was clear with that, because you will have this recording as well. You'll be able to hopefully listen to this again in case I lost you. Does anyone have a question? I'll open up the stage right now for questions. No, everyone's got this. Okay, good. Okay, so, oh, Renee left. Bummer. Okay, so let's.
Karen, can I ask a question before we move on?
Sure.
So I am practicing readings, and some people have wanted to look at people who may have passed on before. They never actually met in this life, but they feel a connection to like an ancestor, or like example, I did someone this week that it was like their great grandmother and they never had met, but they felt this connection. And so do the chameleon cards and the composites and everything, do they have to have met for that to be meaningful? Because when I did it, it felt very relevant and meaningful to her.
Yes, that's a great question. No, they don't have to have met. And yes, when you die, there's no such thing as death. We just go into a different octave, or or in a different schedule, a different dimension, and these people show up still in their cards. And I can actually read dead people right through the cards. I've done it with my friends that have passed on. When I feel their presence with me, I can look at my cards and see I have them on the day that I felt them. And then I can look in their cards, even though they passed 2-3 years ago, 10 years ago, even this one guy, Bear, I can still open his chart and see what he was experiencing on this day. And if I was feeling him and he had my card on this day, even though he's on the other side, I know that he would be with me, that he was with me. That's an affirmation that we both have each other, and I was feeling him. It's an affirmation. Doesn't matter about the death at all. Yeah. Does that make sense? Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go on. Sometimes people come to me just to get messages from their loved ones, and I'll invite them in the session, their mother, grandmother, and I can see their grandmother, mother right in their cards for the day. I'll know that they're with me, or I'll do the composite to see that the grandmother composite with the daughter who's with me is in her cards for the day, which means it's all about their relationship for the reading. Okay, so let's look at the next. Okay, we did composite stellar values. Here are the cycles of time. So there are daily cycles, weekly cycles, 52-day cycles, 1-year cycles, 7-year cycles, and 13-year cycles. And I have found that these cycles all matter, and they all happen at once. So you can look at a daily card, within the week, and you can, right on this day, the 26th, we could find the card of the day within the weekly layer. And then we can look at the 52-day layer, and that's a different card. And then we can look at the year layer, long range, for example. That card's a different card. 7-year layer, we can get another card. And then a 13 layer is another card, all happening at once. And then I've had students ask me, well, how do you determine which one holds the most weight? How do you connect the dots with all of these cycles of time? How do they come together? How do they express, and how can we make a prediction forward or even backwards when there's so many different cycles all happening at once with so many different frequencies? How do the dots connect? Well, I've had a hard time explaining it, and this is the best way that I can, is going from dense to subtle. So the card of the day seems to be the most dense and relative to, say, the physical body, almost if we were in koshas, like the Anamaya kosha is the daily card. And then if we go into the 52-day layer card, it gets a little less dense or specific, I'll say, but there's still a layer that expresses, I may meet a lot of people of that card during that 52-day cycle. For example, if I had a Queen of Hearts 52-day Uranus cycle, for some reason, all these Queen of Hearts will show up in my life, at the bus stop, at the restaurant, the waiter, they show up during that 52-day layer in that way. Whereas if it was the card of the day, it would be in a more significant way. Say, for example, the waiter wouldn't just be taking my order. He might actually sit down with me and we would get to know one another. Then his card might be my card of the day. That would hold the most weight and be most significant at that moment. But if he isn't the card of the day, he's the card of the 52-day cycle, then he is merely taking my order. He's showing up, right? it's not as significant. It's not going to be as impactful, but still there, still important to take into consideration. So we go to the year layer, and in the year layer, we get many different cards in the year layer. And we like to look at the long range card for the year layer. And that long range card will mean it's a theme, and you may meet people all year long of that card, or you may have experiences all year long of that card. Still, it's something to take into consideration. And it's almost like when you're doing an Ayurvedic consultation, you have to listen carefully to your client, and you start getting clues. Everything they say matters, and your mind is just click, you know, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. She said, okay, she said this. She said she had inflammation. She was having night sweats. She said she had an angry husband. She said she likes wasabi. She said she fought with her mother all her life. So all of, like, for example, clues start to add up. They matter. And then you come up with this ultimate, well, I believe you have an inflammatory situation. You have a lot of fire. And that's the prognosis of the Ayurvedic consultation. Same kind of thing with the cards, where these layers all play into an ultimate prediction. They all matter, but just what matters the most and what to give the most credibility to is your job as the reader. So the 13-year cycle is also really important in the 7-year cycle. So for the 7-year cycle, you'll get 2 cards and for each year. And those 2 cards are the vertical and direct cards, which I'll talk about later. But those are the 2 cards that will be the primary cards of the year. And those are going to matter. And then the 13 years, the layer of the 13 years, it's sort of like the furthest kosha, the ananda, the bliss kosha, the bliss body, way out there, but still matters. It still affects you while you're in that 13-year cycle. Okay, so I hope I wrote this correctly. Yeah, so this is important. We cannot connect, so we can connect and make sense of all the different cycles simultaneously. Each cycle impacts our lives like the koshas or the energy bodies around us. Planets act as a collective, as a holistic system, each doing their part. For example, in the weekly cycle, the Venus card can play in a Venusian way anytime within that week, not necessarily only on the Venus day. This is really important to understand when you're reading your cards. Just because you have the weekly layer open and there's 7 planets and 7 days in the week, and we're looking at a Venus day of, say, a 9 of hearts, it looks like a breakup could happen. Someone's going to have a heartbreak on a Venus day with a 9 of hearts. And the client will say, well, when will he break up with me? And it's your job to say, you know, what day? And this is where it's going to be a struggle, because you in that 7-day layer can't specifically say what day. It most likely will happen on the Venus day, but the breakup could even happen on a Mars day or a Uranus day within that week layer, because that week layer is the holistic system of the whole being. Just like we're one body, but we embody all the planets. The sun is in the head, and Mars is in the mitochondria of the cell, and we have the planets within our body. So the week layer is like the whole body, and each of those planetary cycles dictates how they'll experience that card during that week cycle. We can't know exactly. The only way to really pinpoint it is to get 2 other charts of people involved, like the boyfriend or the boyfriend's daughter, who is going to know about the breakup. And I've even seen, like, animals. You can do animals charts. Cats and dogs have feelings too. So whoever would be involved, and if those 2 other people have the breakup on all of them the same day, then you can say with clarity, probably that's going to be on a Saturday. If everyone's showing it in different, like the cat sees the breakup on Monday, the boyfriend sees the breakup on Sunday, and the girl you're reading for, your client, shows the breakup on Tuesday, all within their 7-day week, because everyone was born on a different day. I'm a Friday girl, so my week goes Friday to Friday. So you find out what day of the week you were born on, and that's your 7-day week always. So always using other people's charts to find in specific pinpoint days are the best ways to get exact predictions. Otherwise, you have to say to your client, in all honesty, you can't pinpoint it, and you're so sorry. You'd be lying. So it most likely, I can say 80% chance happening on this day with the 9 of hearts, right? Okay, so that makes sense. Anyone have questions on that? No, okay, good. Suits and planets. So the hearts, well, I'll just explain this. The suits are basically like clothing. They can come on and off. And the actual card itself, the ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the king, the royal family, they can change their clothes, basically. How do I explain that? So the clothes are the personality of the person, in a way, the way they're expressing, the way they're feeling, and the way they're showing up. And I will know, for example, how someone feels about me if I see their card. If they see me for lunch, for example, I looked at their chart, and there I am, a 4. I'm a 4 of hearts, but I'm showing up in their chart as a 4 of diamonds, not a heart. I will know that they are interested in doing business with me, and they're not interested in a friendship. Or if I owe them money, that they're going to ask me for my loan, for the loan back. Or, they're interested only in money and they don't care about me at all. So these are things you have to look at. Sometimes that is the case. If it's with spades, if I showed up as 4 of spades in that person, I'm going to have tea, and there I am, 4 of spades in their chart. It may be that they just want to work with me, and it's not even to make money. It's to actually just work with me because it's a joyful thing to work with me. I don't know. So the diamonds represent money. And the hearts, if you say someone pretended to want to be in a business situation with me, but they had an ulterior motive to date me, I can look at their chart, and the 4 of hearts shows up. It's going to be tricky because I am the 4 of hearts. But for example, my Pluto card shows up as 8 of hearts and not 8 of diamonds. Then I'll know that this is beyond business. They have another agenda, because they put hearts on my diamond, my Pluto self. I show up sometimes more of my 8 of diamonds anyways, now that I'm older, than I do my 4 of hearts. So that's an example of how the suits can change and how you can know the relationship and what to expect and what other people are seeing you as, how they feel about you. Okay, so let's look at this. Hearts are connected to Mercury, Venus, and sometimes Mars. And I'll explain why this is important. And we'll look at the actual chart, and you'll be able to see why this is important. So Mercury expresses instinctive passion. Venus expresses sweet emotion, often of love, but not excluding incoherent emotions. So Venus isn't always sweet, in other words. Venus can be, like crazy, over the top, obsessive love. That's not always sweet love. That's obsessive love. So you can't always just assume because it's a heart and it's Venus that it's all balanced. There's still, it can indicate an imbalance in a relationship if they make a composite of a heart, or I'll think of other examples later, but just some people have thought Venus was the ultimate benefic and it could do no wrong and it was purely sweet. It's not always. It doesn't mean that we can't have over the top type of love that can throw people out of balance. Okay, so the clubs, Mars and sometimes Uranus, and Mars is passionate about accomplishing an action, and sometimes anger from being disconnected to the heart and overthinking, all in their head. So clubs people can tend to be all in their head. And they're, doers of the world, accomplishers of the world, going and blowing, and got a to-do list, and they like to check their list off, and that's Mars, and that's clubs. Sometimes Uranus as well. All right, so diamonds is connected to the planet Jupiter, and sometimes Venus and Neptune. They can represent money, and the money and diamonds usually are parallel, but also values. So Jupiter governs the bank and finances. Venus governs high fancy ticket possessions, like a fancy Rolls Royce would be governed by Venus. And Neptune governs overseas commerce and business trips and all that glitters, sometimes even smoke and mirrors. All right, so spades is connected to Saturn and sometimes Uranus. Saturn rules hard labor, challenges, death, and letting go, endings. The spades embody all the suits. Uranus rules career, mysticism, the unseen, and real estate. Okay. Now, these are all concepts and theories, and I know me as a student, this could go into short-term memory, and unless I have something to sink my teeth into and really file this into long-term memory, I need a story. I'll need how do you apply this knowledge? Well, I'll show you in a minute. Skip the natal chart. I want to be able to show you how to apply this. Well, I guess I can't, there's just so much to this system, I can't just skip over things to help you apply that. If you could just table it for now in your short term, it's okay. And we'll pull it back up and apply it shortly. Okay, now let's step into this natal chart, which is extremely significant. This is your sort of astrological, like if you did your Jyotish chart or your Western astrology chart, this would be your natal chart. And it's in Robert Camp's book. You can find it here in his book. And you just flip to the page of, your let's say, King of Hearts. We'll go to Veronique's. So here's Veronique's King of Hearts natal chart. And this is my natal chart. And you can see that the Jack of Diamonds is my moon. 4 of Hearts is my sun card because I was born under the 4 of Hearts. 4 of Diamonds is my Mercury card. 2 of Spades is Venus, and on and on. So what does this mean? Well, it's important to know because when you meet these people, they can bring these planetary experiences to you. So let's say Venus. It's good to know who's your Venus card, because whenever you meet your Venus card, you're probably going to like them. And Venus isn't all about love. It's also about friendship. So usually when I meet a 2 of Spades person, I can kind of know, because there's some reason why I like them. I can't figure it out. I like this person. I get along with this person. And not everybody sees that person that way, but I do. And I'll ask that person, what's your birthday? Because I'm pretty sure she's a 2 of Spades, right? So you will probably always like your Venus. That's a good thing to know. So, that's important because sometimes we don't see who they really, really are because their Venus is jumping out. And you can't just go by that. So don't let that blind you. You have to look at them from a holistic standpoint, that they have other layers to them. But usually the Venus layer will jump out and you just really want to be with that person because you like them. And that's okay too. But just to have a heads up, I've noticed that. I meet Venus people and I just immediately put them in a category of safe zone, good people. And they're not always safe zone, good people. They could do, they're still capable of doing bad things. But you have to be careful to not put them on a pedestal, but to just like them and know them and be aware that they are your Venus. And for example, an 8 of Hearts person is my Mars card. So, say random person just makes me angry, or, you know, is driving and cuts me off, and, you know, or a student in my class constantly annoying me with stupid questions. Not that I think questions are stupid, but you know, I'm talking about that one person that just is the thorn in your side, and you have no like logical reason why this person is doing this to you, and you just have to roll with it. Find out later they're the eight of hearts to you. They are the pinch. Mars is usually what can cause you to be angry. So, or passionate, or you could feel not anger, you might feel extremely passionate about an eight of hearts person. You'd be careful about that as well. That can be tricky. And then the blessing, people who are six of clubs come to me, and I love these people. They just want to help me. They just want to give to me. They are the big benefic in the sky. Jupiter is the guru. They can be a best friend to me. They usually are. I have a lot of six of clubs best friends, believe it or not. And Saturn is my biggest challenge. So six of spade people, oof, I have to be careful. They're my life lesson. They're a big problem sometimes if I'm not careful. Now, I'm not going to keep going on and on like this because I think you get the gist of it. What I would like to say next about this knowing your chart is these cards are in you. So they are kind of part of you. And when you're reading your own cards for a prediction, say you're looking in your year layer and you want to know how the year is going to go, and you see one of your cards that are in you, like say your six of spades is my Saturn. I see six of spades in my cards for the year. And it's in, I'm making this up, in my Saturn 52-day cycle, because we have 7 52-day cycles that add up to 365 days, right? So I see six of spades for age 56 for 52 days in Saturn. So I know this is a triple whammy for me, that I'm coming into a really serious karmic cycle. I could get sick. I could run into some big adversities. Some big karma could happen, and I just need to bring my proverbial umbrella. Now, if I was seeing that in somebody else's chart at age, say, 56, they had, or whatever age, say 43, and they had a six of spades in Saturn, but they didn't have a natal six of spades in them. For example, their Saturn might be a three of hearts, but I see in their 43rd year, six of spades in Saturn. As a reader, I know that would have really been a pinch for me, but it's not me, it's her. She didn't have the six of spades in her natal chart. So I'm not going to say to her, she's under triple whammy's karmic influence. She might be only a double whammy. It might not even affect her that badly. It might be someone else gets sick that she has to take care of. It could be that soft. But if it is someone that also has it in their own natal chart, then I'm going to hold more weight. That's going to be a heavier prediction. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand that? Am I losing you all? No? So I feel like I need to give you like more case studies, because concepts and theory can get, what do I do with all the knowledge? And then your brain shuts down after a while. So let me give you a case study. Let's do that. Yeah, I think we'll save quadrations for the next class, and let's open the cards. I'm just trying to think of which case study. I actually wrote about this case study that I was going to show you. It's in the book that I'm writing. And I was going to open up the book, but I think I'll just open up the cards. So you can buy this software, and it's like $800 for both. You could get the compatibility software. That's also where you get reports automatically generated, and you can do the predictions. There's two parts to the $800, or you could do $9 a month and you get everything, I think, except reports. I don't know that you get the compatibility either, but you get the whole prediction. What I'm about to pull up is what you get. So beyond that, I'm not sure. And that's on Campsite, Robert's Campsite. It's on my website, how to get the $9 a month. Sign up for that, and you can look at your own cards. I'm going to give you an example. I was thinking of doing case study on the USA chart and the China chart and the whole coronavirus, and even New York City got devastated. It's just the death rate so high, and you can see it right in their charts. It's pretty profound. But I'm really sick of the coronavirus right now. So I hope you don't mind. I just need a little break from looking at it. So maybe you all do too. So this could be a nice escape from all this corona stuff. Although maybe later in another session, we could look at the coronavirus in all of the country charts, like Italy, because they've been slammed as well. Okay, let's look at this client, and I'm going to make it bigger. And her question to me, and this was just, I didn't get to sit with her. I had to do it remotely. And I'm also going to pull my cards because I spent 2 hours coming up with an answer to her question. It took me 2 hours pulling my hair out. Oh my gosh. And, calculating like crazy. And then going into meditation and then pulling up the Jyotish chart, then pulling, tossing coins. I'm looking for omens in the birds. I mean, I was really wanted to give her an accurate answer. And I will tell you her question in a minute. And I was right because it unfolded and my prediction was absolutely right. But it took 2 hours. And then after the 2 hours, I realized when I looked in my own cards, not in her cards, the answers were in my cards. And it would have taken me 5 minutes to come up with the prediction. Sometimes the answers are in our own backyard. And that was my biggest lesson. And I'm going to show you this because it was profound for me. Okay, so good enough. Here we're going into the weekly layer. And will her sister-in-law catch the flight to LA? Okay, so it was supposed to be on the 27th. And we're on the 26th right now. And she asked me like 4 days ago. And will her sister-in-law be able to get to California? And why it was so important to Annette was because if her sister-in-law got to California to go home, because all the airports are closing, there was a chance she was going to get stuck here. Well, why it was so significant to Annette was because her mother-in-law would have to move in with her when the sister-in-law left for California. Didn't want the mother-in-law to live with her and her husband because they don't like each other. So she was pulling her hair out of her head, thinking, oh my God, we're all quarantined in lockdown and I have to have my mother-in-law move in. And I was feeling for her, her pain. I felt her pain. And her mother-in-law's 82, living by herself, and the sister-in-law had flown in and been staying with the mother-in-law for like 6 weeks during this whole thing. And the question was, would she fly home? Okay, so what I did was get the letter values for United Airlines. So these are things that I'm sharing with you that are a little more advanced, but it's interesting. So I found the letter of values for United Airlines because that's the flight she had already paid for. And I'll show you how I did that very quickly. And then we can always go into it more. But so the letter value of United Airlines, so we take United because United had its own value because that's what she said. Oh, United. She didn't say United Airlines. So we know that people don't always follow up with airlines and that there's an actual layer of a vibration around United Airlines that is just United. So that United I had to track, and it was 8 of spades. Okay, 8 of spades. So I wrote the 8 of spades down. This is what I do. I write everything down. I have a yellow sticky note, and I just have all these yellow sticky notes of all these vibrations, and then I connect all the dots. Now we do airlines, United Airlines, and it's a 4 of hearts. Okay, 4 of hearts, right down. If I had just looked at my own cards, I would have had the answer, but I spent forever. I had Annette's chart open. I had Annette's sister's chart open. I had her, Annette's husband, Ed's chart open, and I had the mother-in-law open. So I had 4 charts, and all their frequencies and all their composites. I had done all the math, everything written down, trying to figure out if, you know, the mother-in-law was going to live there with the net. And what I found was, yes, she was going to catch the flight. Couldn't know exactly when, but, and I forget her last name of the sister-in-law, so I can't pull her chart right now, but it doesn't matter. What matters was Annette's chart. So her chart is here. And Mercury governs siblings. Okay? Very, very big key here. The clue that gave it away. So here's Mercury in Annette's 7-day chart. This is the week chart of Annette. Her sister flew home yesterday. And here we have a double 5, which is the wind. 5 represents restlessness. It's Vata. It's the wind. And the 5 of hearts is disappointment. It's another divorce indicator. It's huge sorrow. So in siblings, which would be Annette's sister-in-law, and I'm looking at Annette's chart, we know that her siblings department is very windy and disappointing. So that means to me, right off the bat, her sister-in-law is going to disappoint her and probably catch the flight, because wind, airplanes, all associated with Vata in the air, right? That's really all I needed to know, but you can't just make a prediction based on one thing. You have to make sure, check in everybody's chart, because what if Ed's chart, the husband, his sister, his real sister, this is her sister-in-law, but what if he didn't have all those 5s? Then something else could be, there could be something else. So I checked Ed's chart in his sibling section, in Mercury, 5s. Okay, 2 places. I got the wind. I got the disappointment. Sister was going to California, pretty sure. Then I got the 8 of spades united right here. Annette's displacing the 8 of spades because she didn't want. Displacement is the drain. It's what drains you for the week. It's what takes your energy. All she was hoping for was United was going to shut down, so she would be stuck, and that she'd have to take care of her mother, and the mother-in-law wouldn't have to move in. So that, when I see it being displaced, I knew we were onto something. I knew that the 8 of spades was truth about United. So for it to be displaced, it takes a malefic location in her chart, meaning United was not going to support her, where the environment, ENV right here, is what is the support. And what is the drain is the displacement. So I knew United wasn't going to support Annette's wishes. Do you understand? It was draining Annette. So it wasn't a support. Now we look a little further. Hold on a minute. Okay, so the 5 of hearts in Mars, I knew the 5 is the wind and 5 is disappointment, and in Mars is already malefic. So she has a double malefic in Mars, which I knew was going to cause her agony and grief this week, that she would find out some very disappointing news because it was double. And so that, you know, this is like my 4th, you know how you check in your mind, everything looks like not good. The sister-in-law is going to catch her flight, and Annette's going to be stuck with the mother-in-law. Okay, now we go a little further, and Pluto, King of Hearts. This means the inability to master her emotional body. So King of Hearts is the master of the emotional body, but when it sits in Pluto, it goes upside down, and it takes the reverse meaning of the card. It means she's just not going to get a grip on this. She's maybe even going to fall apart because she's going to be in lockdown with her mother-in-law and her husband, who she can't stand. Now, she's got a result card of the 9 of Hearts, which is the divorce indicator. That's also a very disappointing card. So far, I'm seeing so much disappointment in her weekly spread that I can't imagine giving her good news. Oh yeah, she's going to miss her flight, and the mother-in-law isn't going to end up in your house, and you're going to be safe from, you know, you'll be free in the house. And then guess what? The mother-in-law is the Queen of Clubs. So guess who goes to her Saturn? The Queen of Clubs. So in Saturn, that's going to be the biggest challenge of the entire week. Whoever takes your challenge of the week, is going to be your challenge of the week. So with indecision, 3 of spades, which is another Vata card causing indecision, and it goes to the proverbial blue hole, which I'll be talking about. There's a blue hole and a black hole, and the indecision goes to the blue hole. She was sitting on the edge of her seat all week. Is she going to catch the flight? Is she going to catch the flight? I gotta know. I'll call Karen. Karen will know. And she never calls me for these things. She's one of my best friends, and she was losing her mind with indecision. It was making her ill. The blue hole is what causes illness. So her perpetual chronic indecision was causing a Vata disorder. She was absolutely, undecided about where to place her emotional body. Her emotional body was falling apart. King of Heart went to Pluto. So after all this looking and calculating, I called Annette and I said, she's going home. And I even could see when she was going to die. She has a window of departure in the fall. All the sisters and siblings were all grieving at the same time. So it's an obvious, and I saw all the death cards in the mother-in-law. So I said, it won't last long, but it looks like she actually moves out in the summer when everyone feels like the coronavirus is over. There's a little reprieve. And then coronavirus comes back with a vengeance in the fall after the nodes change signs. And that's when she will pass on, because she doesn't want to move again and move back into your house. So I think she's going to feel that Annette doesn't love her and she has nowhere to go. She's going to want to go home, proverbial home, like in heaven. So that is probably when she'll die. I said, so Annette's like, how long? And she's like, how long will the torture last? So I had to give her the exact date, and I found it would be the mother's birthday around June, the end of June. So the mother-in-law's birthday. Now, after all that, I was just looking at my cards just because, and it wasn't for any other reason, just to see how my day was going or my week was going. And in my cards, here I have, it all says it right here. So Annette is the Jack of Clubs. She's Saturn. She's taking my Saturn position. So Annette, look at her, Jack of Clubs right here. So here in my Saturn position of my week is sitting Annette. Underneath it, sorrow, grief, disappointment. I go to my siblings, a 5, wind, Vata. This is Mercury. And my dear friend, Annette, she's a girlfriend, and she would take my Venus position, double 9, deep grief and disappointment, endings. And the moon shows the mother. This is the death card. This is not good. And then here is United Airlines. So, and here's United Airlines as well in the environment. So it took benefics in my chart, but for me, it was benefic because I'm not involved in this. I don't really care if United, of course I care. I love Annette, but all I cared about as the reader was United going to be debilitated and not be able to get out of the airport. So I looked for that, and it showed United was strong in my chart. I needed to see that strength in my chart, not in Annette's chart. It was going into displacement because all she cared about was that it would be debilitated. She wanted it to be debilitated. It would have been the best news for her ever. For me, I'm just neutral. I'm looking for the strength of United, taking the environment and taking my Jupiter. I didn't have to do anything for those 2 hours. I could have looked at my own chart, and it says it all. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that so cool? To me, I was blown away by that. Yeah, and also, I had more to tell you, but so here's the yearly spread for Annette. Here's her mother, the mother-in-law, Queen of Clubs for 52 days in her Mars cycle with the proverbial thief, Jack of Spades. So to her, her mother-in-law is stealing her sanctuary, her peace of mind, her home. Ancient Chinese proverb, house guest smells like fish after 3 days. Absolutely, she felt like the mother-in-law was a thief in her home. For 52 days, You have 52 cards. She could have had any other card in her Mars cycle, but she has her mother-in-law starting February 22nd all the way till April 15th with the Jack of Spades. So how could I not say that she wasn't going to live with her? It was the hardest thing to tell her. Such bad news. Delivering bad news is not my favorite thing. Now, another bit of confluence to add to the story, we look at Uranus for who's living with you and real estate. And I can usually see who's living in someone's home in Uranus. And we go here to the 52-day section of Uranus for Annette, and there's a 3 of hearts. Hello, the love triangle. Annette, her husband, and her mother-in-law. Okay, and then we have a 6 right above it, karma. 6 is karma, and it's karma that goes backwards and causes the feeling of being stuck. 6s cause a rut. They're fixed. So she really had to deal with this. Like, she couldn't tell her mother-in-law. She had nowhere to go. She was stuck with her mother-in-law in her house. So there was no reprieve because she's quarantined. She can't even go to Starbucks to get away from the whole thing. I told her she could come to my house if she needed to, but there's just nowhere for her to go. So she's absolutely devastated. And that you read at the emotional body. So I'm reading her emotional body. I'm reading her thought level. It all says right here that she was going to have to deal with her mother-in-law, and these double 7s right here and this death card. This tells me her mother-in-law will die before her birthday because it isn't Saturn. And Saturn is a death indicator. And these double 7s they span over 104 days because it's 52 plus 52 is 104. And this double 7s are adversities. 7s are challenges. They represent Saturn. And she's got a 7 in Saturn. So it's a double Saturn. So when I see all that and put all the pieces together, I knew that she was going to be struggling during this time, specifically with the Queen of Clubs woman who was stealing her peace of mind. Okay, so there, I rest my case. What do you think of that? We have 10 minutes left, and I'd like to just open up let's talk. Share with me any questions you have about what these findings were, or any questions at all about what we discussed at all tonight. So you can unmute yourself, and I'm willing to answer questions about all the concepts and theory of the whole night, or just about the findings here.
I have a question about karma cards.
Sure.
You talk about having 2 of them. And you talk about one being maleficent and the other one being a good card. Is it just you look at, is the one maleficent if it just happens to be like a 9 of spades, for instance, or a 5 of hearts, or?
No, it's not the actual card meaning that creates the status of malefic or benefic. It's actually finding which one is, so fastest way to show you. Mm-hmm. So going to the Earth spread. Here's the Earth spread. Earth spread. Here. Okay, so this is, that's the heaven spread, spirit spread. This is Earth spread. Here's your King of Hearts. Where did it go? I thought I had it. King of Hearts.
Up a few rows. Go up a few rows.
Oh, here you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's your King of Hearts, and you are renting the 2 of Clubs house. So the 2 of Clubs is owning this house basically in the spirit spread, and that is going to be who you owe. But this is according to Robert Camp. Okay. Who you owe. You owe the 2 of Clubs something according to him. Yeah. The 2 of Clubs may show up in your life, and it's going to be a heads up for you. Okay, is this person coming here to collect a debt? Am I going to have to drain? Is he going to drain, or is she going to drain my energy? Right. Or is this person going to give me something? Like, I got all those gemstones from that other 10 of spade karma card. So this particular one, 2 of clubs, is the one that Robert Lee Camps refers to as your malefic, right? The one that drains you. Okay, but I don't always find that true. So don't like condemn every 2 of clubs person that comes into your life.
Right.
You know, but it is, you have to be careful about meeting people you make a composite of 2 of clubs with. That can be tricky because you're always going to have karmic relationship with them. And it's going to be good or bad. It's going to be at the extremes, not a neutral place where it's more comfortable to live in neutrality, and where there's peace of mind and there's not a lot of like high intensity.
Yep.
It's not enduring for life. So the 2 of clubs, you just watch out for these people, that's all, and see where it goes. And then your other, so here we get to the King of Hearts. Over here is the 9 of Spades. Now they owe you, according to Camp, they owe you a favor.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I've had people come to me, I'm going into a business relationship. I met this woman and she's a great partner. We're going to, you know, rock this world with this new business. And I want to know about our compatibility. And immediately I see that they're karma cards to each other.
Okay.
All right. And I'm going to be, you know, it's a heads up, you know, you're going to be in an intense relationship, an intense, somebody owes somebody, and I don't know who it is.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. You get it? Okay.
That clears the front really great. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Any other questions? We have another, 9-10 minutes. Yeah. Nobody has any more questions? Oh my goodness. I'm like the lady with all the questions. I'm always like, pick me, pick me. Nobody has a question. Oh, would you like me to give you another case study? Because that could be fun.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said, I'm kind of venturing out and just doing like a lot of practice. So one of the clients that I'm seeing next week, she wants to look at her year and wondered if like there was anything to look at, like her relationship with her spouse for the year. Where would you look in the chart?
Good question. Okay, that's a great question. So let's say, put this down. Let's just say Annette is here, and she's asking me about her and Ed. And she is actually not happy with, you don't know who they are, so I'm not getting last names. Oh, well, there is a name there, but I don't think any of you know her. So here we go with where I look to find out about the Annette and Ed show for next year. So we're here in this year, and I can tell you all about this year if you want, but you're asking me for next year. It doesn't matter. I guess we could just stick with this year.
No, it's like, she means she just had a birthday, so it's like this coming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so let's go with this current year with Annette. So what I'm seeing for Ed and Annette is the 2 of Spades goes to Venus. I'll look right in Venus first thing, because Venus governs romance. And when I see the 2 of Spades here, I know that the 2 of Spades belongs to the blue hole that I was talking about. So in the matrix, I have a black hole and a blue hole. In the blue hole is the 2 of Spades and the 6 of Spades, and the black hole is the 6 of Spades and the 9 of Spades. And since she has a blue hole card in her Venus for the year, I know there's some dysfunction, because the blue hole represents altered states of consciousness, potential drugs. If not drugs, then it's somebody where there's an unfair exchange of energy, where someone's helping the other, or other one feels obligated, or someone's in a position where they're receiving and giving and it's not mutual. It can be codependence. So I do know that Annette feels like Ed is trying to steal her energy and be very demanding, and she doesn't want to be in the marriage anymore, but she just can't imagine leaving because they've been married 50 years, or I don't know how long, but they're high school sweethearts, and they have 3 children and 6 grandchildren, and they own a beautiful home, and it would be a big mess to get divorced. So she feels like it's just not fair. He's he's been demanding, I'll give you the details. Well, I probably shouldn't, but affectional needs are not getting met. We'll leave it like that. And she's upset about it. She doesn't want to participate in that. So she feels that he is being unfair to expect that when she doesn't want to be in this situation. She wants it to be a platonic marriage. She would be very happy if she could convince him that being platonic is the best way to go. And he is not for platonic. So I know that she feels this way, and this Ace of Clubs is new beginnings. So I know that she's going to have to find a new way, a new idea, a new system with Ed, a new way of working the marriage. And it's going to have to be clever. I don't know how she's going to do it still. I think she's still working on it. But it doesn't look like a divorce. There's no divorce cards. It just looks like there's going to be some radical changes in the marriage, because we go to Pluto, and what is Plutoing her is having to always leave. That's the wind. She is always trying to leave the house because he's not working and he's in the house all the time. So she gets up first thing in the morning and goes to Starbucks, and she does whatever she can to not be around him, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that's the story. That tells the whole story. And then this card is the card of fear and fighting. And it is also sex, believe it or not, but it's a certain type of sex. It's more like physical sex, where there's no love involved. There's no hearts on it. It's all, just kind of mechanical, passionate, sometimes make-up sex after fighting, like that. So that result card tells me about what's going on. Now we go to the planetary ruling card, and here we have the Seven of Hearts. And in Venus, it tells me that she's sacrificing for him. She has been. She said that she's given in to his affectional demands and not wanting to, and just kind of, obligatory, just to keep the peace. And that is the Seven of Hearts, because the Seven of Hearts sacrifices for those that they love. It's all about the sacrifice and doing whatever the other person wants and putting yourself aside. And then the Ten of Diamonds is there as well, and his card is the Ten of Diamonds. He's a Ten of Diamonds ruling card. So she's sacrificing for him. And then we also look at Neptune, because Neptune is a higher octave of Venus, and it tells a lot about what's going on in Venus. And this is fear and fighting, and they have had some full-out brawls fighting. And she has indecision as well. So the love triangle thing, she may have some gender indecision as well. So all of that plays into the marriage. So that's how I would read her marriage. And if we go to the next year, I was wondering if she'd get divorced, and I don't think so, because we have double 8, which keeps her there. It looks like she's moving out of her home, though. She doesn't want to hear that. So Saturn, this is the end, and this is the house. So sometime in 2021, I think they're going to sell their house, and they're going to have to move. And this is devastating because it's a beautiful home on the ocean. I had a dream about it too. I dreamt that she was approached by somebody that she didn't even put it on the market. Somebody just offered her money because it's so beautiful that she didn't even need to try to sell it. It was somebody just said, I'll give you this much. And I think she's going to take, I told her about my dream. And then I saw this too. So anyways, that also, in Uranus is a 9 and a 5 wind. When you see double 9s like this flanking 5, which is the wind, and 4, which is the house, it's like the wind blows the house out, and the grief is the 9, the endings. This tells the whole story of next year and her home marriage situation. And there's another 9 in her planetary ruling card, which is her 2 of spades, 9 and a new beginning, a new home. Yeah. So anyways, that that's how I do relationship. We look at Pluto. Pluto should be the significant other, should be telling about the significant other, because our significant others do sort of Pluto us. They help us evolve. As a matter of fact, Maharishi said the fastest way to enlightenment is to be in a relationship. It's because relationships, we have to keep looking in the mirror every day at ourselves through our spouse. And there are little mini deaths all along, because relationships in marriage are a series of negotiations and compromises. And we don't always get what we want, because we have to sacrifice for those that we love. And so little mini deaths, and Pluto represents death, we have little mini deaths from our spouse. Of course, we love our spouse, but spouse usually takes Pluto position. I usually can know how somebody feels about somebody if they're in their Pluto position. If the wife is in the husband's Pluto position, but the husband's chart does not show the wife, I can kind of know the husband may not be fully invested in the marriage. Not always, but that's a sign, a possible indicator, because husbands and wives should take Plutos, not always, because you can't possibly always every year, but for a good chunk of the weekly layers, of the yearly layers, and of the 7-year layers, like that. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And real quick, if we have the time, can you just tell us the marriage cards and the divorce card indicators?
9 of Hearts, 5 of Hearts are the death of the marriage, and they're divorce indicators. And Ace of Spades and 9 of Spades can also, all the 9s in Venus represent endings in love, but you can always know how someone feels about the divorce. So, for example, I'll have someone come to me, and they come to me, she says, I know we're going to get a divorce next year. How does he feel about me? And I look, and I see the divorce cards. In her chart, she is the 9 of Hearts, and she's grieving because she's still in love with him. But in his chart, he has the 9 of Diamonds, or even the 7 of Diamonds. And the 7 of Diamonds is a twin card to the 9 of Hearts. So it's all about the money for him. He is over her emotionally, and all he's focused on is he doesn't want to lose any money in the divorce. And all she's focused on is collecting the pieces of her heart, because they're in smithereens. So how a divorce shows up in cards can show up many different ways, and you can read the emotional state of each person involved in the divorce by which divorce card shows up and in which planetary position. Does that make sense? We're at 9 o'clock, so 9:03, but that was fun. I had fun. Thank you so much for coming tonight. And I forgot to record it. So I'm hoping, Missy, did you record it?
Absolutely.
Good. Did anybody else record it?
Mine's recording.
Okay, great. Yeah. I want to upload it to YouTube. And do you know how to send? It's a large file. Would you know how to Dropbox it over to me?
We can.
Do you know how to use Dropbox?
Roger does, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful night.
Bye.
Get lots of rest. Sweet dreams.
Safe.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.